Wow, really interesting. It sounds like you've gained a lot of experience before you even qualified as a barrister. So it sounds like an interesting route. So even though it's taken you some time to get to that stage, you've built up so much experience along the way, haven't you?
I think that's right. And the reason I raise it is not to sort of be immodest or anything like that, but it's more, I hope, to reassure people that you can do some really interesting things in the legal sector more generally. And it's not about losing sight of your end goal. I always think that you have your end goal and you think, okay, the most direct route, you take the motorway and that's how you get there. But actually, there are setbacks that come up along the way, and it's looking at how you can turn those to your advantage. So take the B road, and see, what, is interesting whenever you stop at the services along the way, because actually you could find that those things are not only useful and will enhance your abilities and your skills and help you to develop your career before you even get into practice, but they are useful and enjoyable things in and of themselves.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the way to look at it is from the point of sort of finishing law school to the point that you qualify, you obviously need to do something during that time. Whatever jobs, whatever roles you take on, you can always use those to develop your skills. So I talk about this quite often, but I paralegaled in personal injury for a couple of years before going on to qualify. And I think that's a fantastic opportunity because, for example, I talk about PI. The benefit there is you're dealing with real people, and anybody can be involved in an accident, slip, car accident, whatever it might be. So you're dealing with a broad cross section of the public. You're learning how to deal with people. It's quite law heavy. So I spent a lot of time drafting particulars of claim, drafting applications. I even spent time in court as a paralegal doing advocacy. So I was able to build all the skills that you need as a lawyer during that time. And it sounds like you've done the same. You've used those opportunities to build your skills and get yourself ready for practice.
Exactly. And I think what you said there about sort of the people skills element of it, just learning to work with different people in these different contexts, for me, that was, well, there was an element of that, even just the sort of minor culture clash moving from one part of the United Kingdom to another, Northern Ireland to England, but then having had the opportunity, and I appreciate that I'm fortunate in having been able to avail of these opportunities to go abroad and to work with people from lots of different places and to understand a little bit more about their working practices and how actually their way of doing things can have a benefit to my approach going forward. And I think that for people who are applying for pupillage, one of the key things to try and bring out in your applications and in your interviews is always what you've learned from each of the different experiences you've had. And what I tell mentees or sort of people through different schemes with which I volunteer is that you're trying to sort of build a narrative which shows that sort of everything you've done has logically led you to a certain point. And of course, as you say, it's important in and of itself because you need to demonstrate that you are continuing to develop. Because of course, once you get pupillage and once you get into practice, development doesn't stop. You have to keep on top of things. So if you've got into that habit to begin with, I think that's always very useful.
Yeah, it really does stand you in good stead. This is one of those professions where you never stop learning. Even
No.
when you speak to really senior members of the profession, they'll always tell you they still make mistakes. They're still learning things. So it's one of those where you've got to be very proactive at any stage of your career.